This is J5Lover, your #1 Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson fan, and today we're going to talk about the Jacksons album. But before we get started with that, let's talk about this day in Jackson's history. Today in Jackson's history, May 16th, 1983, the Jacksons appear on the Motown 25 special, Yesterday, Today, and Forever, which appears on NBC, and Michael shows the moonwalk for the first time during his performance of Billie Jean. Watch this. Such a monumental moment in the Jacksons' history and Michael Jackson's career, let alone. That is just unforgettable and legendary. That performance, everyone remembers where they were or what they were doing the night that performance aired on NBC. And if you've never seen it, I recommend that you see it. I'm actually going to post a link in my description box below so that you can watch it if you've never seen it. So let's get into it. The Jacksons album. This was the first release that the Jacksons had on Epic Records, and it came out November 5th, 1976. I love this album. This is actually my favorite Jacksons album of all time. I know that it seems like amongst the fan community, I don't hear a lot of rave about this album, but generally I hear a lot of people say Triumph or Destiny are their favorite Jacksons albums. But for me, it's this. I think the sound on this album is amazing. The brothers' harmonies, the togetherness in the vocals, it's just really full of Philly soul, and I love it. And I love just that period of time, 1976, that was such a great year for music. You had R&B, you had disco and soul, and it all kind of blended together and harmonized so well, and you can hear that on this album. So first off, the photographs were taken by a photographer named Norman Seeff. So here is the cover, which I love. They look like they're at a party that you just so badly want to attend. And then you open it up, and you get this amazing gatefold. I just love this photograph, just the closeness and the connection of the brothers. You just feel that in the photograph. And then on the back as well, there's just a really good, I feel like he just captured their closeness and togetherness. And the black and white gives you such a nice, dramatic, warm kind of feel when you look at it. This is so great. Before I get into the songs, this album was produced by several people. Amongst the producers were, of course, Gamble and Huff, as well as McFadden and Whitehead. And this was the first album that the Jacksons partially produced themselves. All right, let's get into it. Side A. First song is Enjoy Yourself, which was actually the first single that was released from this album in October of 1976. And it was a huge radio hit. I would say the most successful song probably off of this album. It's one of my favorites on the album, but I will say that it gets so much play. It's not necessarily my #1 favorite, but I love this album so much. I really don't have like a song on here that I even really hate. But it's up there for me. I like Enjoy Yourself. Just the way it makes you feel. It's a very happy song. It's very upbeat. The bounce in the song is very nice. The guitar riff is really awesome. And, Michael's insistent please, the way he sings in this song is just incredible. I feel like when you hear Michael's voice on this album, it's kind of the beginning of how his voice was going to sound for the rest of his life. This is sort of the beginning of adult Michael's voice. He was 18 at this point, and his vocals are so rich and smooth, and he hits a lot of lower notes in this album, more so than previous albums. I absolutely love that. You really begin to hear adult Michael, and some of the inflections in his vocals can be heard later on in later albums. Second song, Think Happy. I love this song. This is definitely one of my top 3 favorite songs. I love the bass beat. It just gets you thumping. It gets you happy. It's just I don't know. I can never feel bad when that song comes on. Like I've even been in a bad mood and played that song and then was in a great mood after that song came on. It makes you feel so good. The next song is Good Times, which is very Philly soul sounding for sure. And I've heard a lot of people actually say it's definitely one of those basement songs, basement makeout songs from the 70s. And it's just so sweet and tender, and it's kind of bittersweet. You know, he's kind of looking back on an old relationship and trying to focus on the good times, and he kind of misses this girl. And Michael's vocals, of course, are just so sweet and so beautiful, and just, it's kind of like, it's just, it is very bittersweet. You know, it's kind of heartbreaking, but it's also just so satisfying to hear Michael's voice. And this song kind of has a sort of rock, a sort of feel, a sort of beat to it that kind of reminds me of a Spinners song, because, of course, the Spinners were a part of that Philly sound as well. The next song is Keep on Dancing. Now, this is like one of my favorite upbeat songs. It just gets me going. It gets me pumped. It gets me feeling good. It's definitely also one of my top favorite songs on the album. I can't help but just start dancing every time this song comes on. I mean, even the brothers during this whole song, they ask you to dance, 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 dance. I love it. One of my favorites, and I enjoyed seeing that on their variety show. That's what's so interesting for me about this album as well, because you have a lot of visuals that you did not have on previous albums, because this album, almost every song on this album was featured on their variety show, as well as the fact that the Jacksons had quite a few promo films that came along with this album. This was really the first album to have promotional clips. Love any kind of visual performance that I can get. So I think it's great. It's great to see the brothers. It's great to see them having fun. It's just, you know, as you know, promotional films were a way for them to get their songs out there if they couldn't make it to a particular television show in another country. All right, so the next song is Blues Away. Now, this was the first song that Michael Jackson ever wrote. That was released to the public. And it's just such a sad song. It's so melancholy, but it's also so satisfying to hear. Definitely, when I hear the lyrics, I feel like it definitely was Michael talking about his life and reflecting on some kind of mood and feeling that he was dealing with at the time, or that he dealt with during his career and life. And it just feels so personal and so real. I think the lyrics are just so real. I love it. All right, moving on to side B. Show You the Way to Go. Now, I love this song, and I think early on, the first time like I ever really listened to this album, Show You the Way to Go was probably like my #1 favorite song off this album. This was definitely a big hit too. It was actually the second single released off of this album, and I love this song. It just, the music, the melody, the violin section is just so beautiful, and it just, of course, Michael's vocals are just so strong and so powerful in this song, and I just love the guitar too. I think the guitar in this song is incredible, and actually, I think it's probably my second favorite song at this point on the album, only to be bumped down by another song which we haven't gotten to yet. The next song is Living Together, which is such a great song, and it sounds like a cross between Love Train and Put Your Hands Together by the O'Jays. Just sort of that song, you know, that Philly soul, bringing people together and trying to connect people together and solve problems. And, you know, you have just such a strong brass section and guitar. I think it's just such a beautiful song. It's so great to hear all the brothers harmonize together, and just to hear their vocals. You know, you get to hear a little bit of Jackie and Michael, and it's just an amazingly beautiful song. It just really puts me in a good mood. It's just beautiful. I absolutely love that song. I think every song on this album is like my favorite song. Seriously, it's just such a great album. The next song is Strength of One Man. This is my absolute #1 favorite song on the album. I just love the way it opens up with that bass. And it's just such a great rockin' 70s Philly soulful melody. And it just makes me feel like I'm like chilling on a Caribbean cruise or something. It's just an amazing song. And I think the lyrics are extremely meaningful and powerful. I feel like the song is just so underrated and overlooked, and I think it's because Jackie does a lot of the lead singing and Michael kind of steps back and he does some of the singing, but you get to hear the other brothers more. But to me, I love the group involvement in this song, and I love hearing all of the brothers sing, and Jackie has such a great voice too, and it just, the lyrics are so encouraging and so timeless. You know, how strong is the strength of one man? Can he carry his load and stay on his road? You know, is he strong enough for when the road is tough? Strong enough for when the road is tough. Is he strong enough? I just love this song. I think it's beautiful, and I know I have hit it on repeat. I have changed the needle like and replayed it like 1,000 times because it's just such a great song, and I don't think the lyrics ever stop being meaningful. And it definitely, if you haven't really listened to it in a while or heard it, it deserves another look. Musically, lyrically, it's just, to me, perfection. And I think my only regret with that song is the fact that it wasn't premiered on the Jacksons variety show. Every song on this album was on the Jacksons variety show except for Strength of One Man. I never understood that. I would have rather like one of their old school hits from the earlier 70s that they sang on the show been bumped so that they could have sang Strength of One Man, because that is such a powerful song. The next song is Dreamer. And that is such a great sort of reflective, melancholy, bittersweet song. I think the instrumentation is beautiful, and I love Michael's vocals on this song, and to hear that little xylophone in the background, that's kind of cool. You know, you don't really hear that kind of instrumentation in a lot of songs anymore. It's rare, if almost non-existent at this point, but in the 70s, xylophones were a much bigger deal, and I love hearing that, and I just love Michael's voice. It's so soft and so tender and so smooth, and it's just a beautiful song. And when I hear the lyrics, I can't help but think that it was very reflective of Michael's real life, even though he didn't write the song. It's a Gamble and Huff song, but and Gamble and Huff wrote a lot of the songs on this record. But I can't help but think, wow, it just kind of sounds like Michael's real personal life. The song on this record was written by Tito and Michael Jackson, Style of Life, which I love that song. I think the lyrics are really great and strong and very real. Like it's just so real. And it's basically, you know, talking about someone that you've broken up with and needing to change if you want to be with me, if you want to get back with me. One of the best albums ever. One of my favorite albums, just in general of all time in music. It's definitely just so good. And I feel like it's definitely underrated and overlooked. And if you haven't heard this album in a long time, definitely give it another listen because it is so great. I'm actually going to put a link in my description box below if you want to hear this album, because it's just, you know, it's just so overlooked. You know, yes, Destiny is great, Triumph is great, Victory is great, and I love Going Places, but I think it's better than all of those, even though those albums do have hits and amazing songs on them. It's just something about this album. I think it's very truly special. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you know every time I release a new video. Also, I'm going to list my link to my Instagram page below so you can follow me there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!